Hello everyone, it's your boy, Alexis Yoko, or Alexander, and in this video I'll talk about a controversial topic, Grell as a representation of trans women and trans people in general, from the perspective of a trans guy. I already talked about it, but this subject deserves a more detailed approach. Before we get to it, I have to remind you that in conservative countries, like Japan for example, trans people aren't taken seriously until they get their transition done. And this attitude is of course reflected in the way some people see Grell. Keep this in mind, I'll go back to it. Some people, even trans people or trans supporters, see Grell either as bad representation, either as straight up transphobic representation. It's their opinion, but I also have mine, and I'll enumerate the reasons why I disagree with them. Grell is considered bad representation because she's a murderer and, quote, a sexual predator, end of quote. Grell's crimes were presented as something wrong, worth of punishment. The same thing applies to the crimes the cis characters committed. The cis characters didn't receive special treatment, especially when some of them did way worse things than what Grell did. A trans character who does bad things is not necessarily bad representation, as long as those bad things are not used to scapegoat the trans character. And they're not used like that. Here we have the trans woman and the cis woman working together, almost sharing a trauma, committing unspeakable acts because their trauma doesn't let them think clearly. They are not that different. And about the predator thing, as I explained in a previous video, Grell's promiscuous behavior doesn't make her a predator. Also, someone bold and conventionally attractive like Grell doesn't really need to be a predator, which I should have mentioned in that video. I mean, just look at her. Even though Grell can be annoying and inappropriate sometimes, she's not reduced to these things in the manga. She's not reduced to comedy relief and promiscuity like in the anime. Yana said she failed to portray Grell as a strong woman in the Red Butler arc, and Loki called out the anime Grell without calling out the anime Grell in another post, which means she's aware of this character being perceived differently than what she intended for her. Grell had a lot of character development since her first appearance. Yana wants to redeem Grell. She wants Grell to be taken seriously. Do you think someone who will demonize the trans character out of transphobia will post something like this? Do you think she will care about the trans character not being seen as strong and capable if she wanted to mock her? Grell was never intended to be a mockery towards trans people. She was never intended to be a mockery in general. Grell was more cringe in the beginning, yes, but she's still a well-written character. She has a personality, she has character development, she owns her attitude. She's literally the first worthy opponent of Sebastian. Grell is not a walking stereotype. She's well written. And this is the main reason why she isn't bad representation. And about the ones who say she is transphobic representation, maybe we shouldn't just toss the word transphobic around with such ease. This is a serious accusation. But when people use it all the time, it kinda loses its meaning and seriousness. Also, as I mentioned before, and I'll mention it again because it pains me to see how many people still believe this misinformation. The other characters don't actually use male pronouns for Grell. Nobody misgenders Grell in the original Japanese manga. If it wasn't for the mistranslations and of course the conservative attitude towards trans people, the man Grell myth wouldn't even be a thing. And probably there wouldn't be so many people saying Yana is the one who handled Grell badly. Back to how some people don't take a trans person seriously until they get their transition done. As I said, Yana wants Grell to be taken seriously. She never intended to make a scapegoat out of her. It's not innocent cis characters and the bad trans character. It's more like some people consciously or subconsciously scapegoat Grell. Yeah, most characters who commit unspeakable acts are cisgender, but their attention is focused on the trans character. This scapegoating was implemented in people's minds by the society they grew up in, especially in conservative countries, my country included, and Japan too. So it's not Yana the one that presented Grell in a transphobic way, it's the people scapegoating her. Consciously if they're transphobes, subconsciously if they're not. The transphobes will also cherry pick anything, including a fictional character, including the most unproblematic fictional character, in order to excuse their transphobia. Look what the trans character does. I see what all of the characters do. There are also people who accuse Yana of transphobia because she used to call Grell an Okama years ago. And as we know, this fandom loves cherry-picking stuff from many years ago, even if Yana changed her behavior. Also, the people accusing her of transphobia for the Okama thing don't know what Okama means. Same goes for the men grellers who use it as their only argument, when they're the ones actively denying Yana's story. Yana didn't write Grell this way just for people to twist and distort the story and make something completely different out of it, like in the anime. She doesn't like when people get the wrong impression of Grell. Back to the Okama thing. Okama can literally mean anything, from feminine gay men to cross-dresser to trans woman, or LGBT people, or people considered gender non-conforming. Just like queer, Okama is a slur that is mostly used for LGBT people, but it doesn't mean only LGBT. It's a word that means so many things, so it ends up meaning nothing. And Yana didn't use it derogatorily. She just didn't have a better word to describe Grell at the time. Grell is a trans woman that wears a men's suit and feminine accessories, like Victorian women in real life did when they were cross-dressing. So Grell is a transgender woman and a cross-dresser. Also, it was more acceptable for actresses or actors to cross-dress, and it's heavily implied that Grell was an actress or at least some sort of performer in her previous life. Yana doesn't call Grell a man with a woman's heart, emotionally female, or an Okama anymore. She calls Grell just woman now, but the term Okama was the closest one she had to describe a trans woman back then. And despite not having the proper language for trans women, she made it very obvious that Grell is a trans woman and took her seriously. I feel like some people just want to portray Yana as a transphobe for some reason. But Grell does bad things, transphobic representation. Oh, this didn't work. But the Okama thing. Sure, Yana had problems with the terms, and she gave Grell problematic aspects, but not those problematic aspects, rather some external factors Yana could not control, gave Grell the reputation she has. Also, just as a side note, I think that characters who don't have at least a bit of problematic in them don't feel human enough. I know Grell is not a human anymore, but it's not like Shinigamis lose their humanity once they become Shinigamis. They just transcend it. Speaking about Shinigamis, as a reminder, Shinigamis in Black Butler were once humans who committed suicide. When you think of Grell being a trans Shinigami, you know this is an important part of her character. And you know Grell was never supposed to be a mockery. I mean, why would Yana make a trans Shinigami if she wanted to demonize and mock trans people? Also, I appreciate that instead of the stereotypical woke fake positivity, Yana decided to present the sad reality of being trans. Especially in the Victorian era. The Shinigamis are a heartbreaking message about this society. One of them is a trans woman, most of them are men, as the suicide rates among men are higher, and one of them is a child who's more happy in their afterlife than in their previous life. The Shinigamis are such heartbreaking characters. They are so beautifully written and so complex, despite the little information we have about them. And this shows how amazing of a writer Yana is. That was all. Tell me what you think in the comments, and thank you for watching.